Guys, big news, and I think I may have made it happen, because I literally just got out of a movie being the new Jurassic Park, which was pretty good actually, not as dumb as I expected, not great, but still fun, while wearing a Mario movie shirt, and apparently that's all it took to have the news come out as I was leaving, that a Donkey Kong movie is seemingly in the works. This comes to us by way of a new copyright filing by Universal that basically just straight up says an untitled Donkey Kong project motion picture is coming, or at least in the works or being planned. Of course, things could always fall apart, but at this point in time, it seems like this is basically confirmed, especially with a huge success of the first Mario movie and presumably the second one coming out next year. It also makes so much sense for a few other reasons. One, at a recent Nintendo investor meeting, Nintendo was saying that they were exploring other film and media-based projects, of which we now seem to know what they were talking about, or at least one of them. Beyond that, Donkey Kong has had a huge resurgence recently with the expansions of Super Nintendo World, with Donkey Kong Bonanza coming out in a few days, and also, of course, the re-release of Donkey Kong Country Returns on Switch. So they are doing a lot for Donkey Kong recently, and this makes me super excited because I freaking love the Mario movie, honestly, and I would love to see what they can do for Donkey Kong. Now, the big question is, though, is this going to be Mario movie adjacent? Like, does it take place in the same universe? Or is it going to be its own thing entirely? Because they could go its own separate route, considering that the Mario movie is already getting a sequel. It might make sense to treat Donkey Kong maybe as its own thing, in a whole, like, spin-off type thing. On the other hand, it might be a little weird considering they've already established Donkey Kong as now taking place in the same universe as Mario with the first Mario movie. So what I'm kind of inclined to think is that this won't be a sequel, because we're already getting a sequel in the form of the Mario movie 2, or whatever that actually ends up being for sure, you know. But we know that is a sequel to the first movie. I think instead, this could maybe be a prequel, because this would allow it to kind of stand on its own, separate from Mario, before he's even in the Mushroom Kingdom. And maybe it could help show us a few things. One, how Donkey Kong and Diddy meet. Because even though it is very brief, the movie does touch on the fact that they're very close friends, seemingly, which it can definitely play way more into and kind of show us a better dynamic with them, or more, deeper dynamic, and how exactly they met. I think that'd be a really great story, on top of the fact that it could also help explain why they had a freaking Kong army in the first place. They had a whole Kong army, but why? Something must have caused them to need it, right? And that makes me think, well, what better villain, what better way of introducing a need for a Kong army, but then by finally bringing back King K. Rool. Of course, people are still speculating maybe he's in Donkey Kong Bonanza, maybe he's not. In either case, I would love to see King K. Rool on the big screen, brought back as the official key villain of Donkey Kong, and it would be so great to see that is why, that's what led to the formation of the Kong army in the movie, because they had to fight off pirates like that, and they didn't want that to happen again. So I think that could be a really great way of tying it in, while also allowing the Donkey Kong country area of the movie to exist largely on its own, possibly in the pre-kart development days. And I think this could help it embrace like a spirit closer to the games that we grew up with, or at least I grew up with, before they turned it into the Mario movie adjacent land. And I think that'd be really interesting. Like, again, I love that they did it in the Mario movie, but wouldn't mind them exploring like what took place before that either. Then again, it could be its own whole separate thing too. It could be a whole new story involving a different universe version of Donkey Kong, and that would be totally fine too. In any case, it'll be fun to see what they do here, and whether they end up recasting Seth Rogen for Donkey Kong, and what other Kongs will appear in the movie. Cranky Kong's gonna have to reappear, right? But will it be the same Cranky as we saw? Could it be a younger Cranky Kong if this is a prequel? Could you imagine that? I guess you could if we go back to the original Donkey Kong game, which of course is supposedly Cranky. So that'd be fun. There's a lot they could do here, but I would love to see them really kind of like show us, how that region came to be, the Kong army, and how the relationships like really grew. And they also tie into the Mario movie as well, where Cranky seems to have a partially antagonistic, relationship with Donkey Kong to some degree, which then developed a bit over the movie, and it'd be fun to see how that came to be. In any case, I'm just spitballing. There's a lot they could do here. They could make it a full sequel and, explore something else too. Will Mario appear in it in that case? Who knows? In any case, that's the news for you. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you hope to see from the movie, and what other ideas you may have. So with that, thanks for watching. We'll catch you later. Bye, everyone.